her. Miss Sutton is not telling you she done slept with my family members, husbands, and baby daddy. And I caught her with one of them. We have tried very hard to get along with this girl. And when I was staying with Miss Sutton, I came home and caught her in bed with one of them. Just recently, she just stopped fooling with one of my family members' husbands.
Also, too, when you meet a person, they tell on their own self what they're about. When I pulled over, we had sex on the road. Then when we got to my house...
Oh, wait a minute. You meant literally on the road.
Oh, no, not like that. Pulled over, we had sex on the road.
This whole thing starts wild and it doesn't slow down. Ms. Toure comes in swinging, calling Mr. Lacey an absentee dad and saying he's definitely the father of her son, Trevon. Get ready, because these two are about to take us on a very bumpy ride.
Ms. Toure, you are in court to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Lacey, that is the biological father of your adult son, Trevon Lacey. You state that the defendant has been an father full of excuses, and you want it all to end today in court with the truth.
The birth certificate has Mr. Lacey's name on it, but apparently it was typed in because he wasn't even there when Trevon was born. Ms. Toure admits she just gave the hospital his name. No big deal. And now he's the official dad on paper. Mr. Lacey is not buying it, though.
Your Honor, I could not have signed the birth certificate. I was incarcerated at the time, Trevon.
This birth certificate, child's name, Trevon Lacey's father's name, Larry Lacey, but it's typed in. Was he present at the birth?
He was not present, no.
You basically just gave them his name.
I gave him his name.
And they typed it in.
Yes.
Here's where things really heat up with a courtroom he said, she said moment. Mr. Lacey says he got court papers about child support when Trevon was a baby, but he swears nobody ever offered him a DNA test. Ms. Toure's like, nope, you had your chance and you didn't take it.
I say Trevon probably was about between 3 and 6 months years old. I received a court paper, State of Ohio Child Support Court. We did both appear at the Child Support Court. The judge, he looked at me, he said, "That's your son, you have nothing to say."
They gave him an opportunity for a DNA.
No, they
if he
did
had
not, Your
any
Honor.
doubt that my son was not
No, they
his
did
child.
not, Your Honor.
Okay, this is where the money talk gets kind of nuts. Turns out Mr. Lacey owed $37,000 in child support. Yes, 1,000, but he's worked it down to about $5,800. But don't worry, things get even juicier when another potential dad gets mentioned.
37.
You owe $37,200 and some odd dollars in child support, which you have
Knock you down to 5,000.
it's past due. You've paid all of that. So throughout these years, you've paid.
I've been paying off and on. You know, sometimes during them years I was unemployed. As soon as I find employment again, then, you know, my wages start being garnished.
But if you thought their backstory was going to be sweet, think again. Ms. Toure spills the tea about how she made the first move on Mr. Lacey because she thought he was charming and they got together fast. Oh, and then we get the hilarious pajama story. Buckle up for this one.
I met Miss Toure was on the city bus and she was on the city bus, and she had oldest son to walk up to me and give me a piece of paper with a phone number on it. So when I looked at the phone number, I wondered who is this. So I turn around and I'm watching where the child goes. You know, Miss Toure, I looked at her and said, nice looking young lady. You know, maybe we can get together.
This pajama drama is straight out of a sitcom. Mr. Lacey says he came back from out of town and found another man at Ms. Toure's house wearing his pajamas, like top and bottom. Ms. Toure is laughing this off, saying the guy had his own clothes and they were just hanging out.
I had to go out of town and take care of some family business for a week. When I came back into town, I knock on the door. I see my pajamas. Miss Toure has on the pajama top.
That is not true to me.
The gentleman has on the pajama bottom.
Your pajamas.
My pajamas. I didn't create no drama. I didn't fight. I didn't do anything. I turned around. I tell my cousin, I said, come on, let's go. So we left.
Trevon's got the spotlight now, and things get real. He starts by praising his mom for raising 3 kids alone, but he also admits it hurt not having a dad around. He says he made some bad choices as a kid and wishes Mr. Lacey had been there to guide him.
I want to start off by saying my mom, she was, an excellent mother. She raised 3 boys by herself, all at different ages. I believe I done turned out okay. I have Larry's absence in my life, it definitely affected me in a negative way. I started having sex at a young age. I just wish if I had a father there, he could have pointed me in the right direction.
This part is like a soap opera, only louder. Trevon pours his heart out, saying he wants closure and a chance to have a relationship with his dad. The DNA proves it. Mr. Lacey flips it, claiming Ms. Toure kept him away, while she claps back, saying he's just trying to dodge child support.
I feel like if you were there, it was a lot of, heartache and headaches that I could have avoided. As far as my children, which I believe are your grandchildren, they have a right to know who their grandfather is.
True.
So I want to let you know that. I'm just ready to get these results so we can move forward in our lives.
This part had everyone holding their breath or yelling at their screens. The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this Mr. Lacey. You are the father.
Thank you, Your Honor. I told you. I told you.
Okay, this is the kind of courtroom drama that makes you grab popcorn and wonder how things got this messy. The case of Sutton v. Smith kicks off with Ms. Sutton saying her ex, Mr. Smith, was living a double life while pretending to be her man.
Ms. Sutton, you say you believed you were in an exclusive relationship with Mr. Smith until you got pregnant and discovered he was living a double life. You say the defendant has denied your daughter, Kaylee, and you are in court to prove he is your child's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
And this part of the case is like a soap opera written by Facebook posts. Ms. Sutton tells the court how she found out about Mr. Smith's other baby mama after she posted her ultrasound picture online. Apparently, the other woman slid into her messages like, "Hey girl, guess what? He's with me."
Him and his other baby mama were together when he was supposed to be with me. Like, he was staying with me, and then all of a sudden when I get pregnant, it's an issue. When I post my picture of my ultrasound when I got pregnant with my daughter on Facebook, I tagged him in it, and that's when she messaged me and she told me who she was. When she was pregnant with their daughter, he said he wasn't with her.
This is where the finger-pointing Olympics start. Mr. Smith denies ever being in a real relationship with Ms. Sutton, saying they just hooked up a couple of times.
First, I met her through my cousin. You know, we chilled, we kicked it off. First time we had a sexual encounter, we met at my auntie's house, we stayed. So after we had sex, I had went out of town to Cleveland, Ohio on a vacation. It was on the 4th of July, and she called my cousin's phone and something like, is DJ around you? And she gave me the phone, she was like, she said, oh, I'm pregnant by you. I'm like, you pregnant by who?
Meanwhile, Mr. Smith claims Ms. Sutton is posting photos of the baby with random dudes online, calling it a family photo. The judge tries to keep things calm, but good luck with that because things are about to get even louder.
Me and the baby, telling everybody, oh, look, this is his baby, he denied my baby, and all this, and then that thing, I look up, you got a picture with your baby and another dude beside each other. Hey, I'm finna come up there, you want me to come up there and pull up on you and see the baby? No, my mom said, if you come up here, she don't wanna have nothing to do with me and my baby, so you might as well stay there. Then she gonna say that, she tried to give me a free DNA test.
This part is heartbreaking, but also filled with awkward zingers. Ms. Sutton says she went through the pregnancy completely alone, with her mom stepping in as the baby daddy. Mr. Smith argues he wasn't allowed at the hospital because he didn't have an ID, which feels like the weakest excuse of the year.
No, my mother's was my baby's father my whole pregnancy.
And then when you went to the hospital, he didn't come?
No, I invited him twice.
What you told me not to come up here to come
at
with?
the hospital, you have to have an ID. Here with you, if you don't want to do for Katie, then don't do for Katie. Because my daughter's well taken care of. Been in school since she was 6 weeks old. She is well taken care of. Look at her.
And now, we hit the part where people start dragging each other's personal lives. Mr. Smith's mom, Ms. Colley, accuses Ms. Sutton of hooking up with half the family, saying she's been with their husbands, baby daddies, and boyfriends. Ms. Sutton fires back, saying that's not true, and even if it was, it's none of their business.
Your Honor, Miss Sutton is not telling you she done slept with my family members, husbands, and baby daddy. And I caught her with one of them. We have tried very hard to get along with this girl. And when I was staying with Miss Sutton, I came home and caught her in bed with one of them. Just recently, she just stopped fooling with one of my family members' husbands.
If you thought things couldn't get pettier, welcome to the money round. Mr. Smith admits Ms. Sutton gave him money while he was in jail, but says it doesn't mean he owes her anything. The judge rolls her eyes and basically calls him out for taking advantage of her generosity.
Every time I got incarcerated, we wasn't never in no boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. Yes, we did have a sexual intercourse with each other. So every time I done went to jail, yes, I done called LaQuay just because she put money on my book, money on my phone. When I get out, she feel like I'm obligated to stay with her. Cause come on, just because you don't spend that money, that's on you.
I just don't want you to start a sentence with every time I go to jail.
Get the tissues or maybe earplugs because Ms. Sutton lets it all out. She talks about how much it hurts to see Mr. Smith being a dad to his other kids while ignoring her daughter. She's crying, shouting, and saying she doesn't care about him, but just wants her baby to have a father.
The whole 3 years of her life has been me.
A child looks for their dad. They know their dad. They talk.
Knows him.
Does she call him daddy?
Yes, but if he would want to be in her life, I wouldn't stop him because my daddy has been in my life since day one. My mother and father are still married. I have had a 2-parent household all my life, so I know how influential having a father in a girl's life is.
This is the part where Mr. Smith actually admits he was kind of a jerk. He confesses that he lied to Ms. Sutton, led her on, and took her money while he was in jail. He even admits he knew she was in love with him, but says he always had feelings for someone else.
I realized that, and I played a part in too, because I was lying. You know what I'm saying? I was dating somebody else, and I was staying with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we had sexual intercourse. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. She done caught feeling real deep for me, and she really want me to be with her. But like my heart was always somewhere else, and I ain't never want to try to have my cake and ice cream and eat it too.
Okay, this is the moment everyone's been waiting for. The DNA test results are in, and surprise, surprise.
It has been determined by this court. Smith, you are the father.
Can I see my baby?
This case is a total roller coaster from the start, and you won't believe how wild it gets. The episode kicks off with Serfozo Veers Miller, where Miss Serfozo says Mr. Miller is the dad of her daughter, Sinite, her so-called miracle baby. She admits there were 3 possible dads because of her party days, which sets the stage for all kinds of chaos. Meanwhile, Mr. Miller is over here like, no way, not me, and claims he has proof. Stick around because this is just the tip of the mess iceberg.
Miss Serfozo, you call your daughter, Sinity, your miracle baby because you were told you'd never have kids. And when she was born, she had 3 possible fathers, including Mr. Miller.
Yes, Your Honor.
And just when you think it couldn't get more awkward, Miss Serfozo starts spilling the tea on her party lifestyle back then. She talks about how she was living it up, partying hard, and says she had a relationship with Mr. Miller that lasted months. But wait, Mr. Miller is like, relationship? Who? Me? I don't even remember that. And the audience is shook. Things are starting to boil over, and you can feel the tension rising like a pot about to overflow.
So how do you remember this going?
Vaguely remember meeting her at my family member's house at a party. I was partying a lot. They said I took her upstairs, and I don't remember.
Okay, so now it's basically a game of who's telling the truth. Miss Serfozo swears their thing lasted months, while Mr. Miller is sticking to his story of maybe once, if that. Judge Lake doesn't let it slide though, reminding everyone that even one time could make him the dad. The room is so awkward you could cut the tension with a spoon, and you just know this DNA test is about to blow things wide open.
A one-time benefit, or did they
No, ma'am, it happened
extend-
multiple times throughout months.
There's no possible way there was months.
Well, how long were you with her? So you're saying you were with her once, maybe, and she's saying you were together for months.
Just when you thought it was wild enough, here comes Miss Dreyer like a tornado, throwing accusations left and right. She says she found out about the baby from her ex, who also had a thing with Miss Serfozo. Yeah, it's messy. Then, Miss Dreyer straight up calls Miss Serfozo a liar and says she's all about drama, while Miss Serfozo is like, nah, I just want to know who the dad is. The back and forth gets so spicy that even the audience can't help but gasp.
I was talking to my ex who had ended up with Mr. Fozo. And he says, well, you know, I'm here with Michael's baby. He was with her for like 2 months.
Called you and said, I'm here with
Michael's baby.
Michael's baby.
Said, did you know he's got a baby that's about 6 months old?
And here's the plot twist. Mr. Miller pulls out some evidence to prove he wasn't even in town during the baby making time. He whips out a ticket from South Carolina and says, I wasn't even here. But Judge Lake does some quick math and goes, not so fast, buddy. This timeline doesn't totally add up. The more he insists, the more it feels like this mystery has more layers than a giant onion, and we're all dying to see how it peels back.
You weren't even in town.
No, ma'am.
So how could it be you?
That's right.
So August, you gone.
I was gone from that place before August.
When was Sinity born? You're claiming you were not around during the window of conception.
Yes, ma'am.
Right when things get fiery, Miss Serfozo brings the mood down with a heartbreaking moment that'll hit you right in the feels. She talks about how tough it is being a single mom, how her daughter deserves to know who her dad is, and how much she struggled on her own. The audience claps as she says her miracle baby shouldn't have to pay for her mistakes. Just as you're wiping away a tear, you remember DNA results are coming, and things are about to get real.
And I hate that I don't know who that is. And it kills me every day. I do apologize. I never thought I would be in this predicament, man. That is my miracle baby. And every day I thank God for where he is. So he could do a DNA test, but y'all found him.
The courtroom is like a full-blown soap opera at this point, but Judge Lake keeps her cool and lays it all out. She shuts down the bickering and says the focus should be on the kid, not the drama. Miss Serfozo gets props for being brave and admitting to her past, but Judge Lake makes it clear. This isn't about pointing fingers. It's about finding the truth for the baby. With the results in hand, courtroom is buzzing, and everyone is on the edge of their seats.
2 women are going back and forth
Because
and
women
back
do
and
this.
forth,
Oh, women do that.
arguing.
You do it too.
This told me this, you trying to do this, when the focus should be, where do we go from
I'll
here?
step up to the plate.
Jerome,
I'll do what I can.
in light of that, I think we're ready
We
for
did
the
say
results.
together.
Okay, here we go. Time for the big moment everyone's been waiting for. The DNA results are in, and Judge Lake drops the bomb.
Pertaining to 1-year-old Sinity Plaza,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Miller, you are not her father.
Told you.
Thank God.
So now where's the other man?
This whole thing kicks off with wild accusations flying faster than a dodgeball in gym class. The case starts with Ms. McDaniel saying Mr. Lennon tricked her into having a baby, then ran off and denied he was the dad. Mr. Lennon claps back, calling her a promiscuous gold digger and saying she should check with the other guys she was seeing. Things get heated real quick as both sides start throwing shade at each other.
Mr. Lennon, you say plaintiff is nothing but a promiscuous gold digger, and there is no way you're you're her son's biological father. You suggest she contact the multiple men she slept with during the window of conception and return to court with the real daddy.
Wow, this story got weird fast, like a soap opera, but with way more awkward details. Ms. McDaniel says Mr. Lennon wanted a baby because the 2 kids he already had weren't biologically his. Mr. Lennon says, nope, not true, and explains he met her on a dating site just to see what she was about. Oh, and they both agree they hooked up the first night, so romance clearly moved at lightning speed.
I want to first off start saying he shouldn't deny my baby when my baby looked just like him. So he was the one to plant to have me pregnant, Your Honor. He told me that he wanted to have a child which was biologically his because he have 2 that's not his, and he's the daddiest because he signed a birth certificate.
No, Your Honor, that's not true.
The court hears how Mr. Lennon claims he was looking for love online, but somehow ended up pulling over for a roadside date the first time they met. Meanwhile, Ms. McDaniel says she was drawn to him because she wanted a boyfriend who could also be a father figure and a sugar daddy. Oh, and let's not forget the 15-year age gap, which makes this even messier.
We met online,
yes,
Your Honor.
We did meet online. It's a lot of sites out there, and there's a lot of good ones out there, and yes, there's a lot of bad ones out there. Also, too, when you meet a person, they tell on their own self what they're about. When I pulled over, we had sex on the road. Then when we got to my house...
Oh, wait a minute. You meant literally on the road.
Oh, no, not like that. Pulled over, we had sex on the road.
Ms. McDaniel says she liked Mr. Lennon because he seemed mature and responsible, while he admits he noticed her, assets. The court pulls up her online profile, complete with photos that range from classy sundress vibes to full-on lingerie shots, and reads her bio, which might be the most extra thing ever written. Mr. Lennon swears he didn't know about the profile's tone. Ms. McDaniel is like, come on, dude, you knew what you were getting into.
That I thought he was a grown-up man who can step up to the plate.
And so, Mr. Lennon, what attracted you to Ms. McDaniel?
Well,
my big booty and my cute smile.
Well, she was a person that had a heart.
So you saw this photo of her and you said, oh, I found a pretty girl. Oh, lingerie shot. These are the photos online.
Ms. McDaniel says Mr. Lennon was all in at first, saying he loved her and wanted to be with her, but she also admits she asked him for money when things got tough. Mr. Lennon says he didn't sign up to be a human ATM, especially after being burned in past relationships where he wasn't the dad. The back and forth keeps getting louder, with neither of them backing down.
At the first time, yes, I was falling for Maurice, but to the point that when I started asking Maurice for help, he didn't want to help me.
What do you need help with?
Money.
I would ask Mr. Lennon for some money to get some food because I didn't want to go to the government for food stamps.
Did you have a job?
No, I didn't.
So you basically wanted a man to take care of you?
I basically wanted a father figure, so.
Mr. Lennon opens up about 2 times he thought he was a dad, only to find out through blood tests that he wasn't, which is why he's so skeptical now. Ms. McDaniel's sister takes the stand to say she believes Mr. Lennon is the father and claims he promised to take care of both the baby and her sister. Of course, Mr. Lennon denies all of this, saying he never made such promises.
I'm not denying.
Yes, you are denying him.
I told her about my past or what happened and how I was hurt 2 times off of a blood test.
So you've had paternity issues in the past,
yes,
paternity
Your Honor,
situation,
yes,
and you
Your
say on 2 different occasions the child turned out not to be yours?
That's his stupid stuff.
But you signed the birth.
No, Your Honor, I did not sign no birth certificate.
Ms. McDaniel fires back at the cousin's claims, saying she only ever left the house to grab a cigarette and that she stayed loyal to Mr. Lennon. Things heat up even more when the court questions her sister and cousin about who was where and when. Meanwhile, Mr. Lennon keeps insisting that this whole situation doesn't add up.
He goes to work every day about 4 o'clock in the morning. I live across the street, I smoke cigarettes, and I watch Miss McDaniels jump in and out of vehicles all while she was at our home and told the boy that she was pregnant. So my thing is this, if he's the baby father, the baby will get taken care of. But if it's not, then let Miss McDaniels go on about her business.
Ms. McDaniel says she told Mr. Lennon about the baby's birth, but he made excuses not to come, claiming he didn't have gas money. She's furious, calling him out for avoiding responsibility while still creeping on her Instagram posts about the baby. Mr. Lennon says he stayed away because he didn't want to risk more heartbreak if the baby turned out not to be his.
So now when you went to the hospital to give birth to, did you tell Mr. Lennon? Was he there?
He have an excuse that I don't have no gas to come up.
I thought you had a sugar daddy. I don't understand how. But by saying you said he don't have no gas money.
This one I'm trying to pinpoint is if he have a bank account, why didn't he have no gas money?
So you thought he was just making up excuses not to come to the hospital?
The DNA results reveal
it has been determined by this court. Mr. Lennon, you are not the father.
That's right.
Like I told you.
This case starts off wild, and it's like stepping into a soap opera you didn't know you needed. The episode kicks off with Thomas v. Hadley, and Judge Lake gets straight to business. Ms. Thomas claims Mr. Hadley is denying her 7-month-old son Jeremiah while juggling a love triangle. She's asking for a paternity test to settle things once and for all. And trust me, what happens next will have you wondering who's running the messiest household in town.
Ms. Thomas, you claim you're involved in a love triangle that has resulted in the defendant denying your 7-month-old son, Jeremiah.
Yes.
You've petitioned the court for a paternity test to prove that he is the father so he can stop living a double life.
The drama takes a nosedive into chaos as Mr. Hadley says, "Not my baby, not my problem." He claims his relationship with Ms. Stallworth is falling apart because Ms. Thomas won't stop accusing him. But wait, he also swears he has proof that he's not the father, like some kind of DIY detective. You think the proof is solid? Oh no, this is about to go off the rails.
Mr. Hadley, you say your current relationship with Ms. Stallworth is in jeopardy because Ms. Thomas is convinced you are the father of her child. But you say you have hard evidence to prove that you are not biological father.
It gets weirder when Ms. Thomas shows the court a photo of Mr. Hadley holding her baby like a proud dad. She says it proves he's all in as a father, but Mr. Hadley's like, "Nope, she set me up while I was napping." The picture fuels a fiery back and forth that's basically a battle of who can tell the bigger fib. And just when you think this photo drama is done, the story takes another wild turn.
Ms. Thomas, you submitted a photo to the court.
Yes.
That's Mr. Hadley, Jeremiah?
Yes.
That's you, right, Mr.?
Yeah, but I didn't fall asleep like that.
Yes, he did. No, he was holding him. He's gonna wake up and not let
So
me
what
take
are
a
you
picture.
saying? She placed the baby there?
That's a lie.
And took the picture?
No, Your Honor.
You think this can't get more dramatic? Oh, it can. Ms. Thomas spills the tea about her labor, saying Mr. Hadley was there for all 15 hours, playing coach and holding her hand. Mr. Hadley, meanwhile, says he only showed up because he felt pressured by her family. Now you're wondering, was he a caring dad-to-be or just someone trying to avoid a lecture? Let's just say the truth here is murkier than a swamp.
He was there the whole time. He got picked up. He stayed for the whole 15-hour labor. He was there the whole time, coached me through my contractions, telling me I need to breathe, everything. There's a picture of me and him. He stayed there the rest of the day.
To be honest, I felt a little pressured.
He wasn't pressured. No one told him that.
Who was putting pressure on you?
Well, number one, her family member brought me to the hospital.
And now, we're bringing calendars into this mess, as if the drama wasn't already messy enough. Ms. Thomas pulls out her trusty planner, saying the dates match up perfectly for Mr. Hadley to be the dad. Mr. Hadley claps back, saying she hooked up with someone else around the same time. This timeline is looking messier than your school desk on a Friday, but what comes next really takes the cake.
I had sex on the 19th around 12 to 2 a.m. The doctor told me I can see my son around the 22nd, which does put it in the I would be pregnant.
And your doctor told you your conception date was the 22nd?
Yes.
So you believe from that calculation that he is your child's biological father?
Yes.
Oh, so you thought a DNA test would settle things. Not so fast. It was a home DNA test, and guess what? It came back inconclusive. Judge Lake straight up roasts them for trusting a test that tells you absolutely nothing. And let me tell you, the arguments only get juicier from here.
Well, we also had a home DNA test done, and the results were inconclusive.
So are you basing a conclusion off of something that's inconclusive?
Yes.
Did you bring any evidence of that test?
No, I did not.
Enter Ms. Stallworth, who jumps into the ring like a wrestler with a grudge. She's got her own mic drop moment, backing Mr. Hadley's claims that he's not Jeremiah's dad. By now, you're just grabbing popcorn because the love triangle isn't just messy, it's straight up tangled spaghetti.
Because she was sleeping with somebody else around the same time, and the test that came back inconclusive. Gearing towards a relationship, but this is
There's no gearing towards a relationship when he's staying with me. He lives with me. This is the longest since I've moved.
No. Wait a minute, you live with Miss Thomas?
He lives with me.
He does not.
He lives with me.
Ms. Stallworth delivers an ultimatum so dramatic it could be in a soap opera. If Mr. Hadley is the father, she's out. Meanwhile, Ms. Thomas drops another bomb, saying Mr. Hadley's been ping-ponging between her and Ms. Stallworth for ages. Oh, but the paternity results are coming, and they're about to flip this circus on its head.
If in fact it's determined that he is Miss Thomas's son's biological father.
No, Your Honor.
You won't.
I won't.
Relationship you're working towards is on the line. Because if he's the father of her child, you don't want to be in a relationship with him.
Mr. Hadley is the father of Miss Thomas's baby. Me and Mr. Hadley would just co-parent with our daughter. Nothing further.
Boom! The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hadley, you are not his father.
Oh my God.
All right, buckle up because this one's a roller coaster of what is even happening. Mr. Mason is back in court for round 2, and he's still trying to figure out if baby Ace is his. The judge reminds us that last time, he proved he wasn't the dad of Ms. Malone's first kid.
Mr. Mason, you previously appeared in court when you proved that the defendant's 1-year-old daughter was not your child. You are now here questioning the paternity of the defendant's 5-month-old son, Ace, which stated you are the father.
Here's where things get even weirder. Mr. Mason is out here doubting science like it's some random internet poll. He says there's no way you can figure out who a dad is before the baby's even born, especially with just a swab from the mom.
I'm here for the second time, Your Honor, because I feel that Ace is not my child. I feel like that it's impossible to get a DNA for a child that's unborn just from a swab of the mother. I guess that's the only way I'm still acting the way I am toward him.
This is where things really take a left turn. Mr. Mason decides to drag Ms. Malone's fiance, Mr. Haynes, into the drama. He's convinced Mr. Haynes is the real dad because Ms. Malone hands Ace to him and says, "Go to your daddy." Ms. Malone claps back, basically saying, well, someone had to step up since you didn't.
Every time I held Ace, it's like all he did was just cry, and there was just no connection.
That's what a baby does. They cry when they first born.
There was just no connection. Even when I look at Ace, I don't see me.
Now he think Mr. Haynes, my fiance, is the dad of Ace.
You thought it couldn't get wilder? Wrong. Mr. Mason tells the court Ms. Malone yanked his name off the birth certificate and put Mr. Haynes' name on instead. Ms. Malone says she did it because Mr. Mason wasn't acting like a dad. Ouch. This whole argument is like a soap opera with legal documents.
Because if that was the case, Your Honor, when I was in the hospital when she gave birth, she had put my name on the birth certificate. Removed my name off the birth certificate just to put Mr.
Reason
Haynes'
of that
name
being
on
is
the birth certificate.
She took your name off the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ace's
Same
birth
day after I left out of the hospital, after she had already put my name on the birth.
Your Honor.
Grab some tissues because Ms. Malone goes full emotional here. She cries as she talks about how Mr. Mason keeps dragging up their messy past and ignoring Ace. She's like, dude, I admitted my mistakes. Why can't you just focus on being a dad? The judge tries to keep things moving, but you can feel the tension in the room.
And why does it upset you so much?
He's still dwelling on the past. I know what I did. I confessed up to that. I owned up to it. And he's still the past in. He just needs to own up, be a father to Ace, be in his life.
She has not lately gave me the chance at
Hold
all.
on, Chance. He never
She's
picked up
never
Ace
gave me the chance.
whenever he came
Whenever
over.
he came and
Whenever he
visit.
came.
Oh boy, now we're on to the cheating part of the story, and it's a doozy. Ms. Malone accuses Mr. Mason of stepping out on her with another woman while she was pregnant. He denies it, saying she's got it all wrong, and he was just talking to a friend, because yeah, that always ends well. The judge points out that neither of them seems to trust the other, which is like the understatement of the century.
Me and Miss Malone, we had went our separate ways.
You did?
And yes,
Your Honor, because when we back,
and when
he
we
cheated.
went our separate ways,
After agreed that we was not going to dwell on the past, he still did it anyway. I'm starting
I didn't necessarily cheat.
What was it?
I didn't cheat. I didn't cheat at all.
He left for another woman.
I didn't leave her at all.
And here comes the science guy. The judge calls Dr. Baird, a DNA expert, to explain how prenatal testing works, because apparently Mr. Mason needs a biology lesson. Dr. Baird breaks it down super simply. They take a blood sample from the mom, find baby DNA in it, and compare it to the dad's DNA. Mr. Mason's whole "the test is fake" argument crumbles in about 10 seconds.
How a prenatal test is performed.
The non-invasive prenatal paternity test is performed using a blood sample from the pregnant mother. In her blood sample, there is DNA from fetus that she carried. We then take a look at the DNA from the fetal sample present to an alleged father, see whether or not he is or is not the biological father of that.
Okay, here we go, the moment we've all been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Mason, you are the father. Again,